There's a day that comes. A day when you look back at what happened, and for the first time, you don't immediately blame yourself. You don't ask, what was wrong with me? You don't spiral into shame. You don't pick apart every decision, every moment you stayed, every red flag you ignored. You just see it, clearly, without the weight of self-hatred crushing you. This is the day everything shifts. For so long, you've been carrying the blame. You told yourself you should have known better, should have left sooner, should have seen through the lies, should have been stronger, smarter, less naive. You replayed every conversation, every fight, every manipulation, looking for the moment you could have changed the outcome, looking for proof that this was your fault. Because that's what they taught you. The narcissist made everything your responsibility, your fault. If only you were less sensitive. If only you tried harder. If only you didn't push their buttons. If only you were enough. They shifted every ounce of accountability onto you, and you picked it up and carried it like it was yours to carry. But it wasn't. It was never yours. And on this day, you finally see that. You see that you didn't stay because you were weak. You stayed because you loved someone, because you believed in them, because you gave them the benefit of the doubt again and again, because that's what love does. It hopes. It believes. It gives chances. You see that you didn't ignore the red flags because you were stupid. You ignored them because you were manipulated by someone who was very, very good at manipulation. Someone who knew exactly what to say to keep you confused, to keep you doubting yourself, to keep you believing that things would get better if you just held on a little longer. You see that you weren't too much. You weren't too needy. You weren't too emotional. You were a human being with normal needs and feelings in a relationship with someone who punished you for having them. Someone who made you feel broken for being human. You see that the love you gave wasn't wasted. It was real. It mattered. The fact that it wasn't returned the way you deserved doesn't diminish what you offered. You loved with your whole heart. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's something to honor. You see that you didn't fail. The relationship failed. Not because of you, but because it was built on a foundation of lies and manipulation and control. You can't fix something that was designed to break you. You can't love someone into becoming capable of real love. You can't sacrifice yourself enough to fill a void that has no bottom. On this day, you stop asking, why did I stay? And you start understanding. You stayed because you're loyal, because you're committed, because when you love someone, you don't give up easily. Those aren't flaws. Those are beautiful qualities. They were just given to someone who didn't deserve them. You stop asking, why didn't I see it? And you start recognizing that you did see it. Parts of you knew all along, but you were in survival mode. And sometimes in survival mode, we have to tell ourselves stories to get through the day. We have to believe it will get better because the alternative, accepting that we're trapped with someone who's hurting us, is too painful to face. You stop punishing yourself for not being perfect, for not having all the answers, for being human in an impossible situation. You start seeing yourself with compassion, with the same gentleness you'd offer to anyone else who survived what you survived. This is when the healing truly begins. Not when you understand what they did to you, but when you stop doing it to yourself. When you stop being your own narcissist, criticizing yourself, gaslighting yourself, telling yourself you're not enough. You start saying different things. I did the best I could with what I knew at the time. I was dealing with something I'd never encountered before. I didn't have the language for what was happening to me. I thought love was supposed to be hard. I thought loyalty meant staying. I thought their pain was more important than mine. And all of that? It makes sense. Of course you thought those things. Of course you made those choices. You were responding to someone who was actively distorting your reality. You were trauma bonded. You were manipulated. You were in it. You couldn't see clearly from inside the storm. But now you're out. And now you can see. And what you see is not a person who should be ashamed. What you see is a person who survived, who loved deeply, who tried everything, who stayed longer than they should have, not because they were broken, but because they were hopeful, because they were human. On this day, you finally let yourself off the hook. You stop carrying blame that was never yours. You stop punishing yourself for someone else's cruelty. You stop believing that you could have changed the outcome if you'd just been different, because you couldn't have. This was never about you not being enough. This was about them not being capable. And you exhale. Maybe for the first time in years. You exhale and feel lighter. Because blame is heavy. Shame is exhausting. And you've been carrying both for far too long. So if that day hasn't come for you yet, I need you to know it's coming. Keep going. Keep healing. Keep choosing to see yourself clearly. Not through their eyes. Not through the lens of what you think you should have done. But through the truth. You were in an impossible situation. And you survived it. That's enough. You're enough. This is the day you stop being at war with your past. And start making peace with the person who lived through it. She deserves your compassion. Not your blame. Welcome to this day. You've earned it. Thanks for being here. If you've reached this place of self-compassion, or if you're working toward it, share in the comments. Let's lift each other up. And subscribe to continue this journey together. You're not alone.